Okay, I'll just be a few more minutes, so just bear with. Oh, hi there. Oh, hi there indeed, Enfys. How are you on this fine evening? Yep, webcam on. Busy setting up your new OS, but have a lurk? Heck yeah. Enfys has a functional computer again. I wonder what this could mean. Anyways, obviously it's going to be a short stream tonight, so we'll get straight to it. Cosplay-wise, I've still got the sort of horns. I've finished sculpting their sort of silicon bases, but I still need to actually make the mold for them. Then I'll be able to create as many as I need, assuming they work, of course. It's basically going to be my first ever proper silicon prosthetic, so very exciting. Well, a specific type of prosthetic anyway, like the sort you glue directly to skin. I'm sure there's a name for it, but yeah. Well, let's get the game going. Okay, it's being picked up. Okay, let's get going then. So yeah, story so far, the mentor character has shown up dead. The protagonist was locked in the wardrobe because that's where he's been sleeping, because he was being smuggled on the ship. We've got Himbo Herlock Sholmes just wandering about, accusing us of this and that. In the next cabin across is a ballet dancer who's on the run, disguised as a Russian. Well, she is Russian, but she's disguised as an old Russian man. Which, I guess you could have to admire the audacity. But yeah.
9th of January, SS Beria, Miss Pavlova's cabin.
Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Suzato-san took a deep breath, then gently slid back the bolt.
Yo, what are you doing in Miss Pavlova's quarters?
Oh, you both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine, thank you. What on earth happened? Yeah. No, let's mention it last week, but I just can't unsee the stripes on that sailor's face. Maybe he'll show up as a witness and we'll learn more. We heard something about how we're going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop.
Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere.
This first-class area is only the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm. Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? You wicked intruder, dressed in all black. You are the devil. Sorry, me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is a first. You get used to it. You opened my travelling case. How could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector. Yes. Arrest this man. I know he did it. Hey, Icky. It's indeed Bree. Oh, hey, Nerlus. Card games on motorcycles. Awesome. Hope it's going well. Hope everyone's had a good week so far. Sorry I wasn't streaming on Monday. Real life stuff was just going on. I just didn't have the energy in the end. He is a criminal. Is it not enough that he has killed a man?
Ah, and he is stowaway as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe?
Take him away. He's a trespasser as well as everything else.
Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right, you are devil.
It doesn't look good, does it?
There is cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong, then we give you straight to police.
Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hosanaga, is there nothing you can do? Nullis, to be fair, Magic the Gathering has had motorcycles for at least 3 years, but they're just now doing a racing theme set. I mean, to be fair, Baldur's Gate, well, Descent into Avernus, the 5e module that was basically a prequel to Baldur's Gate 3, also introduced motorbikes, but they never show up. Well, except unless you count Karlak's Heart. This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. That's right, officer. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Icky, typical. You wait ages for a motorcycle, then two come along at once. Immediately. Yep. Okay. I just need to keep calm and focus on the task at hand, which is investigating. Don't touch my things.
You want me to show you where crawfish hibernate?
Yeah. Mr. Naruto, what do you think you're doing? Wow, everyone's attacking me, and I was just starting to think she wasn't my friend. Isn't there anyone who can help me out of this mess? Bet. Has he been there the entire time? Notice? Oh yeah, because all of those are in hell, and importing stuff between planes is a lot harder in D&D. It's true. What the?
What's he doing up there? Mr. Sholmes?
Why is he wearing that?
Naturally, I was analysing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective, it is my business to know what other people do not?
I guess he needed to know the majesty of feeling like a princess. Nellis, it wasn't easy in Magic the Gathering either until a couple of years ago, when Endgame happened, and unlike in the MCU, it actually had lasting consequences. To be fair, don't they shake up the rules of Magic the Gathering every time? Or rather, they have to because of it's all just a series of interconnecting rules. So introducing new cards and new rules basically turns everything on its head.
This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no. Well, why were you just hanging from that hook before then? Oh, that was tomfoolery. Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of 20,000 rubles, naturally. I wish to determine if it would bend that conceited-looking hook on the wall, so full of brag and bounce.
Okay, he's going to throw hands at the furniture. I guess he's run into at least one mimic.
I never know whether to take this man seriously or not.
Oh, you again? The great detective.
Oh, Inspector, I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently.
Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than the hook on the wall next time.
What is to report? Speak.
An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing.
Yes? The case of the curious murder that took place last night, here on this vessel, the steamship Beria.
In hindsight, travelling on a ship called Beria was a mistake.
Has been solved. By me, naturally. What?
Really?
Yes, I have eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So, allow me to illuminate you all your minds. For I am about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Ha! You have solved it. Even Hedgehog understands this case.
This was the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog all along.
We all knew who was responsible for killing Student Boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is this stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it.
I didn't do it. The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim. Because, as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside. That means the culprit must be someone who was inside the cabin. Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories.
Ah, locked room, that is point.
The room was locked.
Well, I can't deny that.
There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin.
You are quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room at all.
What?
Oh yes, there is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door.
What other entrance? We never discovered one.
Why, it gapes open mouth at you even as we speak. The Ventilator Man.
Ah yes, The Ventilator Man. An unsuccessful Keanu Reeves movie.
The ventilator? You think this is funny? I can't even put arm through that hole.
That's because your arms are as thick as the tree trunks. Notice? You mean they don't often change how the magic systems in the actual story work? Completely separate, actually. Basically, recently in the story, half the planeswalkers stopped being able to planeswalk, but also lots of portals opened up, so only one source of can. Used to be cultures of different planes almost never had any contact. Now the writers can pull anyone from any setting into any setting. Wild.
You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator.
Ellipses nuts. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean? Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 AM, I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 AM, what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill.
Precisely, my dear madam.
But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? I'm trying very hard to do male upper class voices.
The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There is a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I'm ready. What I'm about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cause. Behold. What the? You might notice, I'm not wearing any snake.
Exactly, Icky. Snack. Ooh. Sorry about the way I keep trying to take a sip of this and burning my tongue. Okay, it's just about drinkable now. I knew it was going to be a snake. Icky. A little lower and it would be a sneckless. Hey. Notice it's that one boss from the Elden Ring DLC.
Ellipses nuts. Allow me to introduce to you all to the band. The speckled band.
A snake? Exactly, Enfys. It's a sneak. A sneak. A sneak friend. Yeah, I knew the ballerina's pet was going to be a snake. Because, like, it was literally in the cutscene at the start, so that had to be relevant somehow.
Indubitably.
Ellipses nuts. Ellipses nuts.
Ellipses nuts.
Enfys. No. Brie, Sneck from the Badger song. Oh. Snake! Badger, mushroom, snake. Just can't quite get the right inflection. Mr. Sholmes, just one thing.
Pray, what troubles you?
Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy, wouldn't you say? Yeah, you're right. I think in this case, you'd have to call it the striped band, wouldn't you? Notice? So we can have wacky races set when there's a teams of inventors from the steampunk plane and dolls from the haunted house plane and shark people from, you don't know, Ravnica and from fantasy Egypt and who knows from where else. Magic the Gathering lore dump over. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the whole thing in Magic the Gathering setting that there was like a zombie outbreak that's only being contained by its limitations from spreading from plane to plane? Hasn't that made things worse?
You both see and observe, with distinction. However, do you not think That's precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall.
Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap?
How exactly? I think perhaps it's time I explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova?
I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me.
There are two conclusions I have drawn from the facts. Number one. Last night, your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin.
Okay, this is too early in the episode. This can't be the actual truth.
And number two. That same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life.
Except no, because he broke his neck, he wasn't poisoned. No.
She's turned white as a bowl of rice again.
Sholmes must be right. He hit the nail on the head.
This young woman friend killed Mr. Asogi.
It looks like he can't speak with that snake cord around his head.
I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. Wouldn't want stains. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck.
I can't believe Sherlock Sholmes said long friend. Yeah, a real danger noodle.
So everyone, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular.
The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Intruder's identity.
Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following.
His death has nothing to do with me. The whole thing has nothing to do with me.
Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yes, when you recall those horrors of events, your aching heart smarts with pain. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Ah, as I suspected, another telltale glance.
Nullus, the Phyrexian invasion. They are the villains from the Endgame thing that opened up the portals. There were lots of cards of former enemies inexplicably teaming up to fight the Phyrexians. EDA revolutionary and a cop, and a knight and some sort of frog monster. Wild. Without a doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations of the night in questions tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell on the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this.
Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Yes, that which you are trying, but failing to conceal. That can only be the snake's sloughed skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin. No?
Wait, don't reptiles shed skin and have the same skin as they had before? Or the same pattern anyway? I don't know what you're talking about.
Last night, through the ventilator visible in this cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. In the dim light, it had appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change each time it sloughs its skin. Okay, Sholmes. Don't think horsey, don't think unicorn, think horsey. No less, funnily enough, the Phyrexians took over off-brand Yggdrasil from the Norse mythology set in order to invade all planes at once, and just underestimated everyone. Okay, that is kind of cool. A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine it would be found in the deepest depths of India. Why India? Conclusion. A beloved speckled snake. Topic 2. How Mr. Asogi died. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. I can't get over how cool his outfit looks. I wonder if anyone's cosplayed it. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear that there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Like, the autopsy literally says his neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. No doubt someone's repurposed some Holmes costume for a Sholmes cosplay. Yeah, I'm not sure that'd work. Like, that greatcoat's really elaborate and it's got the whole gear thing going on. The almost but not quite imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snake bite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There's no point in feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavoured to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that travelling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It's telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend. To train? Indeed. You'd put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you summon it back with a whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. Wait, he had the whistling first. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you release the snake once more. Okay. Nolis, make sticky iron-on patch thingies for the shoulder logos, get a pair of goggles, maybe a belt or two done. Could work, but I don't really think you can find a coat that elaborate off the shelf. Or if you did, you'd be quite... I suppose you could maybe make the cape separately and save a lot of time. If you could find just the right looking coat. Do you deny that this snake has undergone such training? It's not true. Having slid it through the ventilator and down the bell cord, the creature need only sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt. My logic is infallible. Okay, I guess we're going to have to follow his logic. Conclusion. Death by venomous snake bite. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of the speckled band.
You know, it'd be really neat if someone set it up so the hat was attached to a wig on a pivot, so they could do that sort of flick. No less, you're assuming a costume based on traditional homes would include a fancy coat, but to be fair, you don't know. Yeah. I'd imagine so, but probably not one that elaborate. Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is key to the training of any creature. Can snakes drink milk? Incredible. You've solved the mystery. Okay, Rhinosuke. You can't just accept that as fact just because it gets you off the hook. Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Sherlock Holmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Sholmes? But of course, what's on your mind? It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Well, good. First of all, snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madam. No less, apparently milk isn't good for snakes. They can eat food with milk in it, but dairy by itself messes them up. Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, reptiles do not consume milk normally. And reptiles, don't drink milk. Okay, there we go then. The game's acknowledging it. Oh. It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it would be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward. No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Ah. I mean, to be fair, snakes don't have ears, but they can sense sound. Like reptiles have internal ears. So they could react to whistling, although it's questionable. Yes, so I'm not sure it would be possible to signal a snake by whistling. In Fist, their taste/smell is fantastic though. Yep, as I was taught in primary school, they literally taste the air. Which, to be fair, like obviously, as everyone probably knows, your sense of taste and smell are connected. Like, if you can't smell, things taste off. But madam, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute? I think perhaps the performers play their music in time with the snake's natural movements. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears. These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. I hate that's what people say about me. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. Iconic line. There's one other thing. You have more? Okay, sorry, Nellis, I won't self-defame. Enfys, it is why when people lost their smell with COVID, they found they could eat pretty much anything. Yep, and of course, scented candles started getting a lot of bad reviews. For some reason. Yeah, exactly. Those sensors are so closely connected, turning off one turns off the other. Although, fun fact, you actually have quite a few taste buds in other places, in particular partway down your throat, which is where the ones that are most sensitive to bitterness are. Basically because, well, bitterness is, a lot of bitter things are poisonous, So that's literally the last chance you get to spit something out if it's dangerous. Incidentally, that's coffee tastes kind of bitter because caffeine is literally supposed to be a poison. Basically one that plants produce to kill insects that eat it. It just turns out in humans it also works as a stimulant. Snakes use the scales on their bellies to propel themselves. Oh yep, and it's also why licorice is disgusting. So I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins. Fun fact, I can't stand licorice, but I do actually kind of like aniseed.
Then it should try harder.
Please don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine the snake could have had a part in this. Also, you know, he was literally killed by having his neck broken, not by poisoning. Icky, good snake friend, only wants hugs. Exactly. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruto. Naruhodo?
Oh no, you don't mean...
Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be.
I had a feeling this was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down to your wrists again. What? I couldn't allow the animation to be altered. The budget just wasn't there. You've done it again.
Your handcuffs are gone.
Where'd they go? Fear not. I shall see they're restored after our work is done. Wouldn't wish to break continuity. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular.
Okay, course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. The intruder's identity, a beloved speckled snake.
Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following.
Okay, so we can skip through this because... she does have a pained expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Kazuma's death is wearing heavily on her mind.
But you're not sure that Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression then?
Let's take a moment and really look closely at Miss Pavlova. What else is causing her pain? Is it her wrists? Oh. Okay, yep, so... Okay, you got me, game. Her pet isn't a snake, it's a kitty cat. Oh, Naruto-san, look. That looks like a very painful wound. Cat owners will understand.
It looks like a scratch made by some kind of small animal. And fairly recently, too.
Well, whoever scratched it doesn't appear to be around here. Okay, let's have a look at other stuff. She has such petite ears among that beautiful hair. Like little pink shells.
Oh, what's that? There's something dangling down from her ear.
Ah, that's an earring. The crescent bean part looks as though it's made from wood. It's charming, isn't it?
Women do seem to love ornaments like that. In their hair, around their necks, on their fingers, and even hanging from their ears, it seems. Well, jewelry is beautiful, Naruto-san. She has such petite ears among beautiful hair, like little pink shells. What's that? There's something attached to her ear. I expect that's what's called an earring. It's a little piece of jewellery. An earring, is it? It really is tiny. Perhaps part of it is missing. Maybe it broke off. So now all that's left is the clasp part that attaches to the ear. If that's the case, she doesn't appear to have noticed that it's broken. Okay, interesting. It means Cat didn't want to take medicine or go and carry it or be carried or be pet or was bored or... Exactly. Anyway, that's what's causing her pain.
Yes!
Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch marks with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch? Sometime last night? When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I'm sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it's that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the... Okay. We can skip through this because I don't need to read it again. It seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws, do they? You don't know that? No, they don't. Okay, you do. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze, Naruto-san. That's where we'll find the answer. Ding, ding, ding. I have a feeling that it was this teapot that Miss Pavlova's eyes flickered over to before. You think this is the friend she's been talking about? Well, we're all different, aren't we? Whatever you might say about it, if that's the way she feels. I don't think I'll say anything about it then. You and the teapot could discuss it instead. Wait, that's not what I meant. The bell around the cat's neck. That's what was broken. Oh, look at the photo in this frame. And this must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She's exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true. But personally, it's the little black creature she's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we'd best take a closer look at this. Yep, look at the little kitty. Look at its little face. Look at the little cat Miss Pavlova's cuddling here. Oh, what a cute little kitten. It could vie with you, couldn't it, Naruto-san? For the blackest outfit. Exactly, a teeny baby. Black kitten. And from the look of this picture, at least, Miss Pavlova seems very attached to it. Aha!
Yes!
Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no. The whereabouts of this black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you?
Darker is my best friend. Is that just Russian for black? I couldn't leave her behind.
Darker would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night?
No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this.
Oh, but it does.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I keep trying to read the dialogue again. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back.
If she just left it in her pocket, no one would ever known.
Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Schumer's specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something.
I thought deduction was his specialty. Or maybe making me believe that was a ploy too.
Anyway, I find it hard to believe that's the skin of a snake.
In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back?
Oh, it's a cat toy.
Well, it is speckled and it is a band, but what is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy. A long piece of cloth of some sort.
Oh, okay, she was calling the cat back. She's just been like... Pss, 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 pss. Pss, 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 pss.
And that looks like a handle at one end.
I think it might be a cat's toy. This sort of thing is common in the West, apparently.
How's that a toy for cats?
Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it.
That sounds positively adorable.
He gets it.
Yes!
Yes, the thing that you're trying but failing to conceal is a cat's toy. Precisely, and the true nature of the now infamous speckled band? And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator.
Icky, is he in handcuffs or not? Oh, Sholmes keeps removing the handcuffs for these deduction scenes specifically. Presumably so they don't have to change the animations.
You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator into the neighbouring cabin, Miss Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darker. A truly troublesome feline, young Darker is proving to be. She must be caged once found. You'll forgive us for borrowing this photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova.
The photograph of Miss Pavlova and Darker has been entered into the court record. A photograph of Miss Pavlova and her friend, a kitten named Darker. The tiara she would wear on stage can also be seen. It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. How the heck did she get up there? She scratched on the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she disappeared through the ventilator. How'd you get through those grills, though? Darker. She's so naughty. We forgive her. She killed a man, but we forgive her. Darker did nothing wrong. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. Okay, skim through this again. Skimming through. Okay, it definitely can't be a terrible venom. Because cats don't have venom. Or do they? They do hiss like snakes. Like, what Mr. Holmes says is true. There were no signs of any wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body.
That's right. But Mr. Sholmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned.
Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. Post-mortem report. Ding.
Yes.
In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Oh yes, I knew it was one or the other.
For real? His neck was...
Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury is out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime.
Oh no, could there be?
Yes, an examination of the deceased body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something, or someone. A smooth criminal, as it were.
Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon's been found, though.
Presumably Darker didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal him a fatal blow.
Sorry, just imagining like a little fluffy kitty assassin. It's been ingrained in popular culture. It's possible. I suppose it's possible he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident.
Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it.
It's rather hard to believe Kazuma-sama though. He wasn't a clumsy man.
Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened?
Okay, he slipped over. Oh, yeah, he tripped over the cat.
Yes.
Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively. This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish. Shoe polish?
Wait, shoe polish?
Indeed, possibly identified by a little analysis device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course. Beeswax, tallow and dye were my results, the undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the colour of the polish is a perfect match to the colour of Miss Sogi's laced leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot at that point on the floor and tripped.
Please, no.
And, by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instant, he lost his life.
No.
Okay, we're gonna have to prove the cat innocent now.
I didn't know. I didn't know anything about this.
Is that really true, Miss Pavlova? What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Osogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. He did all he could to conceal this incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence. Okay.
I didn't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true. I refuse to accept it. It's not narratively satisfying.
I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened.
But...
And if this part of Mr. Holmes' deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she just cast her eyes.
Where, I wonder?
Let's have a good look around. The answer must be here somewhere.
Okay, let's see. Ding.
And this is where Miss Pavlova hid her friend.
That's right. And if it wasn't a snake after all?
No, it was that little kitten she calls Darker. Not that it's anywhere to be seen now. It seems to have let itself out of the case and gone exploring.
I expect it's wrapped itself around someone's head somewhere, trying to make a new friend. Notice invoking quote 334. I'm a cat, destroyer of paint cans and scratcher of boards.
Exactly. Either that, or it's scratching their hand to pieces. The point is, where has it got to?
Okay, let's have a look around. The waste paper basket, maybe? This is a waste paper basket. Perhaps all the first-class cabins have them.
But Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet.
Hello? The other half of the bell.
Oh, what's that?
It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before.
If it looks familiar, perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you.
Yes!
That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that waste paper basket. Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object. It would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Osogi's cabin. And as you can see, the two pieces fit together perfectly.
Oh no.
So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the waste paper basket in your cabin? You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not?
I don't know.
Sorry, I don't know in that hush Russian accent of yours. Won't save you this time, dear girl. Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question.
What?
Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and her little glass bell, that would be
the picture of her and the kitty. Ding.
Yes!
If you look at this photograph, every time it makes me laugh, you can clearly see, hanging from Darker's collar, the very glass bell in question. Spin. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. Notice he's not Naruto, he's not a ninja. Even though he has that gauntlet for some reason. Yeah, I keep forgetting to pronounce the D. Your absent feline friend, Darker. Icky. I, Herlock Sholmes, hereby accuse you of not kissing this teeny kitty baby kissy wissies on her ickle head and giving her stuggy woggles. A most horrendous of crimes. Icky's right and he should say it. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. Death by tripping over a cat. It's how I want to go. Actually, no, I don't want to put that on a kitty. It's not how I'd want to go. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late. I hadn't had time to feed Darker, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast. She disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired that rather nasty wound on your back of your hand, I take it. Yes. And I had read the rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darker with me. Yes, one sign suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. So at that point, you thought it safe to try and lure the kitten back again? By dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator into the adjoining cabin. Darker always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using a favourite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Kazuma wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she calmed down. But then... Meow, third. I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out, and then... Oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterward, nothing. It was totally silent. It was totally silent. Kazuma was... From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely that what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping up. The SS Barrier is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Ahsoka was already off balance as a result of the ship lurching when the kitten got under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yet, Darker is nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case, and now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least.
When I woke up this morning, I heard a young man in the cabin next to mine had died. But I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back.
Oh, hold on a minute. What about the snake?
You're right. Where is it?
If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it and where did it come from?
That's a very good question.
What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board this ship?
Wait, is it Stroganoff's pet?
Oh, I didn't say. Snake is my friend. His name is Pirozk. What? That snake belongs to you? He escaped from cage when emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. I did not expect to find him in here.
Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin?
But animals are not permitted on board. Ha! We are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without a close friend? Without someone who understands?
Oh, you're right, Nerdless. That explains the stripes.
Can you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake, surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in? No venom. Pirozke does not have venom. He is harmless, very long but very gentle. He is adorable, like Granny. It's venomless? Yes, now he is hungry, so he is in bad mood, but once I feed him, you'll see a big smile.
And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose?
Ha! Like they say, they milk chickens. Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Pirozke eats mouses. Big fat round mouses.
Oh, so... Is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for?
Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favourite food?
Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. I like this Russian guy and his pet snack.
It refuses to drink milk. It can't hear a whistle. It can't climb up a bell cord. And it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? It's not my fault. I do not make up stories. My Pirozko has nothing to do with this instance.
So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. I feel like the whole ship suddenly stopping's also got to be related somehow. Even if it was just about how the door was locked. And the message in Russian. Yeah, how'd he leave a message if his neck was broken and he died instantly? Miss Pavlova? I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathise, but please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I can't forgive you. But what are you talking about, Miss Makotoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events, an accident. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo?
To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story. I'm sure of it, I just can't put my finger on it. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh? I'm only present here for a very specific reason. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Not again. When did he do that? Especially as they're on your wrist as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made our next port call. You, Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours, was he not? Yes. Kazuma was my close friend. I owed him my freedom, even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. Time to reach out and hold out, etc. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died, and how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What we should ponder first is the victim who lost his life in the cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Or was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident. Wait, the man tripped over the kitten that climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident.
Hold it!
Wait, let's just take a step back. It doesn't fully make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm going to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it started to take shape now. Oh, I need to stretch. Because my arms feel like they're about to seize up. And full motor function is restored. And there's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let's just show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves unequivocally that the victim's death was no mere accident. And please, make sure you save Scum. Right, you are Mr. Holmes. Sorry, Sholmes. Okay, so it's got to be the writing in Russian.
Yes!
Present. The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. Thank you for the quote, Enfys. How's the computer going? There's no way that Mr. Osogi could have left this message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language. Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. Enfys, you're okay? You need to bend OBS to your will now, ready for tomorrow. Oh yep, you streaming tomorrow? That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It actually makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Okay, now is that save scum, or save scum? Free scum. You need to save. Sorry, what do you mean? Exactly what I said before. You're playing chess against some nerds, if you recall correctly. Oh. I think I've got Guild of Archon's Adventures, so I don't know if we've double booked. Unless it's nerds that aren't me. In which case that's a relief. Because Enfys would absolutely destroy me at chess. There's no way Mr. Asogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is clearly explained in here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Ugh. Instant death. Which means after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't possibly have written anything. Because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there, if what Miss Pavlova told us was true. What? Enfys, you've looked up things, yeah, and there's a double booking. Okay, we can try and sort that out after the stream then. I'm really sorry about that. When was the chess booked? So, Suzato-san has noticed it too then. Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. In other words... Okay, what else proves it wasn't an accident? What proves there was no accident? You drew the characters of this paper seal, didn't you, Naruto-san? They're such bold, vivid strokes you make. You're looking at a man who came born inside a trunk. Those brush strokes need to make a statement. If they found me in that wardrobe, those Russians would have hurled me into the freezing cold ocean. I'm sure none of the crewmen would have done anything like that. Well, I'm not so sure. They'd have forced you to wash the dishes in the galley until you were on death's door or something like that. What's dishes on death's door? That's a lot of dishes. Okay, it's not that then. What proves it wasn't an accident?
Surely it couldn't just be that there was an assassin. Victim's neck was almost certainly broken as a result of a strong blow. Could be it. Oh, we're being raided. Thank you for the raid, Sarah Britt. Hope you're having a nice day. Oh, can you do a shout out, Nolis? Sarah Britt, Kasune raid. Heck yeah. One of the top 10 types of raid. Thank you, Nolis. Insecurity colouring time. Is Sam being mean? Okay, so were you doing an art stream? How'd it go? I'll say hi for those who don't know me. I'm BisectedBrioche. I'm a trans woman streamer. I do playthroughs of single player games. Sometimes I cosplay. I'm not cosplaying today, but if you look at my sort of older videos, you can see I'm sort of doing a purple tiefling sort of thing recently. Went well. It was a quick one today, though. Oh, fair enough. Yep. For those who aren't aware of this, this is Ace Attorney Chronicle, the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. It's a blind let's play, so no spoilers. And we're just sort of partway through the second case. It went well. It was a quick one today, though. That's fair enough. I mean, this stream's probably not going to be more than 2 hours just because I've got work in the morning. What sort of art were you doing? Yeah, I need to work out which of these bits of evidence prove that the main character's best friend was not murdered accidentally. Because it can't just be as simple as tripping over a cat. Okay. Left button, review scene. What proves it was no accident? Colouring in an Associates webcomic. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so you can't present profiles in this. Could it be the ship's log? No entries from 2 AM until early this morning.
Yes!
What point are you trying to make with that evidence? I'm starting to see how Kazuma's death really happened. I think... Oh, yep, and I like to do lots of silly voices, so sorry about that. I think that you're starting to see nothing of the sort, and that was the evidence to prove it. If it was no accident, then what should we be looking for? What we should be looking for is one of two things. Either the absence of something you would expect to find at the scene of an accident, or the presence of something you wouldn't. Most compendiously put, my dear madame. I see. I confess your rather languid I see doesn't fill me with confidence, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe in you. Well, more than Mr. Sholmes does, anyway. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts. Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. Okay, what should be there and what shouldn't be there? What's missing? Wait. Nope, couldn't be his badge. Exactly, and Fizz, she really just negged me. Okay. Already tried that. Maybe it's the... There we go. This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's the... Wait, but that's the glass bell the kitten had around its neck. We already know about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there's a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened, then how did one half of the bell end up back here in this cabin? Ah. Yeah, remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in that waste paper basket? Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Asogi died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And the same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Asogi's...
You're wasting our time. Someone else was there? Ah, of course we know this.
What are you talking about?
Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out.
Oh, yes.
And only one other person in cabin when young student dies was you.
Yes!
It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. You were shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I'd have left the message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left the message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Forgive me, my dear fellow. I cannot help but roast you when I'm trying to prove you innocent of murder. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I'd been asleep in there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor, for fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Asogi really died. But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. A single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would barely have cast any light onto the floor there. Little wonder, then, that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Yes. Was it a heavy weapons guy? Seaman Strognov?
Is woman of sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills, and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on this ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse ship's angel of being criminal.
So that's it.
You see that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. But that is not possible. I give my tooth.
Well, this is almost interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure?
You're a great detective. You should know.
Yeah, I can't do accents, so I'm not even trying.
Look, truth in eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go into cabin. Not Nina, not anyone. Or you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors? Yet. It's impossible.
He's right. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around the door latches so they can open and close them from the outside.
Red, are you stupid? These bulkheads are not barn doors.
Certainly not. These are watertight doors, as one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel, with not a gap inside. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruto suggested it earlier, so... Suzuto-san, how could you shift it onto me like that? So, Seaman Strognov has a valid point. The cabin door can have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily.
What?
I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see the traces of the method I have in mind having been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruto, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin door from the outside. One way does spring to mind, yes. Do you really know what Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, and so should you, because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So, would you care to do the honours, Mr. Naruto? Point out the telling signs of the method that was used to slide the cabin door bolt across from the inside. Okay, so there's a switch, isn't there? Just savey save, because you know I love to save scum.
Yes!
And this is it. This shows how it was done. It certainly shows how something was done. I concur. In fact, it's an excellent way to show how easy it is to jump to the wrong conclusion. Oh. But a truly dismal way to show how the bolt could be made to slide shut from outside the cabin. Did you really need to say truly dismal? Surely it can't be really possible to make the bolt slide shut without touching at all, can it? I'm sure it is. Something on the back of my mind. Oh wait, it's the books. Because they got knocked over as well. Sarah Britt, you sure saved scum the loss in this game? Yeah, I did it with the original trilogy, even though it wasn't obviously an intended way to do it. But you know, when you suspended the game, it didn't delete the save, so you could basically save scum. And I guess they just made it a feature in later games. Because really, who has time for that?
Yes!
Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over? That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before. Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over.
I believe, yes, it's what's known as the force of inertia, acting on these objects.
Is there nothing Zarso-san doesn't know? Or that isn't in her book, at least? Well, whatever it's called, the same Porsche that pushed over these books on the bookcase also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door.
Ah.
It was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier. We had to come into this cabin not long before, and we hadn't bolted the door. But then...
Enfys, she's well versed in high school education. Most impressive. I mean, this was in the, 18th, 19th century. Oh wait, no, it must be the 19th century. So it wasn't really that. So, you know, maybe it wasn't quite taught in school.
Oh, that sounds like Inspector Hosonaga.
Oh yes. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door.
Yes, it is made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the force of inertia, if you want to call it that. Are you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Asogi was killed,
Slide.
the SS Beria made another emergency stop?
Yep, because the chicken was, drugged. It all makes sense now.
When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over.
Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I?
Then when we came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Asogi's cabin.
Oh yeah. And he explicitly didn't eat the chicken because he didn't like it. So Rhinosuke ate it all. So he was caught. Well, so the his killer expected him to be knocked out, but he wasn't. Oh my.
Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova? Oh, you're out of your mind. You say Beria made an emergency stop. It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. Oh, it's simple enough. Are you forgetting the button in the passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm.
Oh yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there, telling you to only press the button in times of emergency.
On dark nights, when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone. Hence the placement of a number of buttons around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. The sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Wait, it was you. When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interest of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings, and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As it did, indeed, it did, a little earlier today.
Okay, so Sholmes was the second one. Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who... Okay, this is actually a bit more in line with the more traditional interpretation of him being someone who just kind of weird things for those little Creek moments. Wow, I haven't watched Jonathan Creek in years. As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. He sounds almost proud of himself.
How dare you mess with ship? I report you to Captain. You're in much trouble now.
Now, I'm sure that I can all wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learnt a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what we must now consider... Yes, it all comes down to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi, did this ship make an emergency stop, or did it not?
You are idiots. Barrier is a huge ship with many passengers. If we make emergency stop, even in the middle of night, there would be chaos everywhere.
What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruto? Ellipses nuts? Well, it's certainly possible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruto? Naruhodo? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? Okay, that's going to be the log.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff, it's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't that right?
Ah, that is correct. Why?
And the ship's log here. This would be where you record the details of your duties.
What are you doing with that? That is mine.
Ah, you'd rather carelessly left it atop that little makeshift bureau in the passageway there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with a mind to return it to you later.
I left it there on purpose. That is where I put it always.
The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances you write the phrase, "nothing to report" every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log.
That is. Duh. Because nothing happened.
But if nothing happened, you'd normally write, "nothing to report," wouldn't you?
Well.
Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 AM, something happened. Here aboard the SS Beria. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night?
Stop talking rubbish.
If I'm perfectly honest, I find that's a little hard to believe myself. Oh, why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, surely all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud. I can't imagine that anyone would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. The throbbing. Yes, I knew it. Everyone was drugged. Sorry, what do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We've all suffered with it. Oh yes, I've had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right. My head's been throbbing today too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I'd already been dragged out of the wardrobe. I'd had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Tell me, Mr. Harudo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yeah, sorry. The stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Oh, well, Kazuma looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact, I had all of that. Kazuma wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right, he didn't touch it. Is that relevant? My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Yes, I've been saying it all along. Validate my opinions. Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? I do. No? Really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers last night had been tampered with. Wait, did Sholmes do it for no reason? Tampered with by the addition of soporific, designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who consumed it. A sleeping drug? Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice a ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruto? Sorry, Naruhodo? Of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes? Well, seaman. I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there will have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, would be hauled over the coals. For aiding and abetting a renegade. Okay, what plot twist awaits here? Please, no more. I will tell everything. I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes, so when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me.
We all agreed to help, everyone together. She threw away everything, her fame in the ballet, Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel.
I don't believe it.
You're right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night.
Called it. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point.
We cannot make all drug. How do you say dissolve?
Talk about heavy seasoning.
At midnight, in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. She was helped by a comrade on shore with a small fishing boat.
While all the passengers of SS Beria slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion their evening meals contained. So if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who disliked chicken, and the newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Kazuma's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Oh, of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins, after which they had been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite, and accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would have habitually slept with their cabin doors bolted anyway, and so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of one single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. But wait. If the ballerina did it, she'd have locked herself out of her cabin.
You have talked a long time and said many things. What is point?
The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor, in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of glass that would reveal the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. But... I don't know about any of this. I'm just a little girl.
You like to speak of your long English words and explain your clever ideas.
Oh yeah, they could have left the door open so it wouldn't bolt itself. That's a good point, Nihilus.
But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories. We don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes.
A laudable trait.
What?
I'm quite of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yeah? Did you hear it? The accusatory cry of guilt on the wind. What accusatory cry of guilt? Nihilus, long English words from a Russian. Oh, no, that's German. Exactly. Although, to be fair, German mostly uses compound words, which is why they seem so long. Enfys, how would Pavlova even know the emergency stop procedure? It's got to be a crew member. Well, they did establish she was a dancer with the crew, so it's possible she was familiar. But still. So, sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No. You must hear it with your eyes. For observation is the basis of all deduction.
What are you talking about?
I believe the time has come. For one final logic and reasoning spectacular. To expose the truth. So, Mr. Naruto, your assistance if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? Your observation, my dear fellow, just as I said, of these two prevaricators. Observation? If you remember, Mr. Naruto, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Sogi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these two was there when it happened. Precisely. You're delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was in there last night when Kazuma died. What suggests that some... Oh, hello there. Oh, look at this. It's some kind of stain in an unusual place. It's the ink that the message was written in. Nihilus, Effa must be on some good drugs to be hearing with his eyes. Oh, it's just like that to sing a rainbow. Listen with your eyes and sing everything you see. I can't sing. It's some kind of stain in an unusual place. Yes, you're right. It looks like ink, if I'm not mistaken. Ink. And look at the colour too. It's clear where this came from. Anything else to look at? Chunky arms. He has arms like a tree trunks, doesn't he? Hairy tree trunks. Yes, he certainly has sailor's arms. He's a born man of the sea. Even if I'd been awake, I couldn't have done anything about being dragged out of that wardrobe by this man. Naruhodo-san? Are you alright? You seem to be lost in thought. Oh, sorry. Blame those hairy tree trunks. Yeah, he's into it. Oh, and I can look at her left ear again for some reason.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff, you seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there. Yep, exactly, Enfys. Or synesthetic.
Oh yes, I don't know where that dirt come from.
So nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain.
What are you trying to say?
It would appear that the significance of this stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform. And I think what made it is clear. Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves what that stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform really is. Schlurple the purple.
Yes!
Nullus is synesthetic, not a drug. Nope, it's usually congenital. People who have synesthesia usually just have it. Although drugs can cause it, briefly. Exactly, Enfys. Synesthesia is when one sense is perceived with another sense. Some people just have it, but it can be caused by drugs. Yeah. Yes, it's this photograph, and the ink it shows. That's what caused the stain on your uniform.
Ink?
A rather unusual colour of ink. Purple.
Ugh!
Ah, the penny drops, at last. Now you see the significance. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And this also applies to language for some people. They see letters or words as having colours. Oh yeah. I can't remember who it was, but one famous case once described someone's voice as crumbly and yellow. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of exactly the same colour. Also, you know, chromatography. They can chromatography it. And this, but only if they know the language. Okay, that's interesting. I suppose a language you know is processed differently to a language that you don't. Because, I mean, if you sort of recognise a sound as a language, you sort of need to understand the words to process it. If the ink had been dry, it couldn't possibly have stained your uniform in that way. Which means you must have been present in the cabin, in the moments immediately after the ink was spilt. Exactly, Enfys. A language you don't understand is just noise. Also, music you can't make out the words to.
All right, yes. It was me. I did it. Everything.
Oh no, you didn't.
I arranged everything in dead student's cabin to make it look like Wardrobe Man did it. Then I pressed button to make barrier do emergency stop and bolt cabin door shut. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel.
Biff, please.
Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty patrolling passageway. Then our angel came to me. She was white like sheet.
Biff, please, you must help me.
I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw student body on floor. Hey, jump out of bed. Take that ringing in your head.
Sorry.
What happened here?
Nullis, you suppose colours are supposed to be derived maybe similarly to meanings of words? I wouldn't know personally. Please, don't tell anyone. My little one. My little furry friend. Nullis, she's always been white like sheet. She looks like a vampire's been living off her. She is very stereotypically Russian.
Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you. The kitten escaped through ventilator into Mr. Sogi's cabin. Then he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell to the floor.
Wait, no, wrong voice, sorry.
Yes, that is right.
So, after the incident where the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers.
Only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor.
She said she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel. The door was not locked. So she opened to look and you already know what happened after.
There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind.
What?
When you went to Mr. Osogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why?
I already told you. When Nina opened door of student's cabin and looked.
I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova. Da. Yes, that's right. I saw him. It was dark, and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you. So is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Kazuma's death at last?
Ah, something nearly slipped my mind.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes? We're being Columboed.
This photograph. Yes, I took this myself, you know. The cause of death was a broken neck, therefore the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events, a kitten, on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, then there is one particular area in this photograph that seems to me somewhat unnatural.
What do you mean, unnatural?
What are your thoughts on the matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, well...
If Kazuma tripped over and fell and by some terrible stroke of luck broke his neck, which part of this photograph print seems unnatural? That is a very good question. I suppose he should have landed head first, but...
Yes!
It must be here, surely.
Allow me to offer you a piece of advice regarding the pursuit of detection, my dear fellow. When noting a crucial point, it can be helpful to keep your eyes open.
They were open.
And it can be equally helpful to use them.
Sorry, I'll try that. I think it's plain what Mr. Sholmes means by unnatural, isn't it? The words written in a foreign language underneath his fingertips, surely.
That particularly crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. No, I meant me to identify another point. Imagine, if you will, losing your footing yourself.
Oh. His hand, yeah. If he was falling, his hand would be out.
Yes!
Right, if he really fell during an unfortunate accident, then this fist doesn't seem quite right.
The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat.
I remember when I was in primary school, I did jiu-jitsu, and the instructor basically said to train yourself not to do that, just like to avoid injuring your wrist.
Yet here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say. As though he were gripping something.
He was holding his sword. He was defending himself.
What do you mean?
Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago.
And Fist can confirm you can and maybe will break a wrist when falling. You did that at about 13. Ouch. I've never actually broken a bone in my body, but I did suffer from concussion when I was a kid.
Of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow?
Mr. Sholmes, show us, please.
Why, of course, my dear madame. Would I keep you in suspense?
It's going to be, her earring, isn't it? Wait, is she the assassin? No, listen, they never taught you that at karate. To be fair, jiu-jitsu involves a lot of throws, so we probably did need to learn the right way to land safely, just so we wouldn't injure each other.
Why, of course, my dear madame. Would I keep you in suspense?
Yes.
This is what I found.
Oh, a crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. You didn't do throws, only sparred with lots of padded gear. Ah, fair enough then. Jiu-jitsu is very sort of throw-based.
Yes, you're right. A crescent moon, very pretty, but what does it tell us?
It tells us nothing.
I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before.
Observation, Mr. Naruto. That is the key.
What?
The truth is now tantalizingly close.
How did that crescent moon come to be in Kazuma's clenched fist?
This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe. Find the answer with your own eyes.
And that's why we could still look at it.
Yes!
Miss Pavlova, I noticed that on your ear. Even though you have a metal earring, the decorative part of it seems to be missing. The little link holding it on must have broken, I suppose.
What?
But looking at your other ear, I noticed a crescent moon.
I don't believe it.
Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there is only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruto?
Yes. Miss Pavlova, as Mr. Asogi, must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear, perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night in Mr. Asogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you're quite literally at arm's length from him. But then the question is, why did Mr. Asogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh no.
Angel.
No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Kazuma?
Hate. No, listen, wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruto? Okay, Naruto. I'm sorry. When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. I was like, when I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in this cabin and I could relax after this horrible, long day. Meow. Darker, wait. I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call her back with a little whistle. I tried waving her favourite toy, but nothing worked. Darker would not come back. Knock, knock. Clunk. What's he doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. The young man from your country, he was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darker, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I had my friend in my arms again, and I was going to leave the man's cabin... just a moment, sorry, but... Oh, yes? I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina. Huh? No, I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from the land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina? Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. Okay, how's this leading to murder? I see. So you've run away. Please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone. Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here. He's going to pull the cord. He's going to tell the captain. But I think I could trust him. Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait, I shouted, and then... Meow. Darker jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's feet. And as he turned around to look at me... Ouch. I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me. Wait, I thought the entire crew was on her side. And that's when you went to fetch help from Seaman Stroganoff, who was on duty out in the passageway.
I heard Nina cry out and fell on floor, so I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door, shaking like leaf. She looked at me and said, "Help me, Beth. If they find out, I will be. Please, I have nowhere to go."
So you decided to help. And that's when you arranged things in Kazuma's cabins to make it look I did it. So that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door.
Yes. I went into cabin and looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. And then I found Stowaway in wardrobe, still sleeping.
Right, that's when you found me. So you worked out a plan to lay the blame on the stowaway.
I closed wardrobe doors and put back strange paper sign.
Luckily for me, that's the only reason Susato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent.
I dragged young man's body to a good place and used ink that was spilling to write on the floor. I wrote, so that the person who found him would look inside wardrobe and find Stowaway.
And tell me, what of the glass bell? It was by my feet, so I picked it up.
I see.
But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half.
Then Angel went back to her cabin, and I finished job.
By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway?
Yes.
Accordingly, the SS Barrier did indeed come to an emergency stop a little after 2 AM, thus enticing the bolts on the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked door mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova. What? Well, you said that you told Kazuma about the fact you'd run away from your homeland, and it's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right? Yes. But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem? It was what he said first that made me scared. What he said first? What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. He said an inspector was his friend. Oh, yes, meaning me. Who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard. I thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me. So before he could pull the bell cord, May I stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? Is there another twist incoming? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Asogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done. No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back. Okay, he was clearly going to go to the wardrobe.
Well, Mr. Haruto, the day's work is not done yet, it seems. There is one more deduction to make.
What? Another deduction?
Yes. What action was the victim really about to take at that moment? Can we determine whether the young man's gaze was directed? First, consider the victim's location within his cabin.
That's easy, I remember every detail of that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in the wardrobe. But still, that cabin has been my home for this entire voyage. So this is how the cabin looked last night, when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama? Yes, it's exactly how it was.
Are you ready then, Miss Naruto?
Yes, if there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all manner of truths.
And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze to wherever it lands. So, when you turned away from Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at? Ding.
Take that!
Considering everything that happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord.
Yes, however,
What is directly besides the bell cord? The wardrobe. Nihilus. It's not Naharudo, it's Hodo like Dodo. Nahodo. Okay, I've got it now. The wardrobe? And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly. Miss Pavlova, please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night?
give me a moment. I could use another opinion here.
Another opinion?
Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intends to consult his close friend on the matter. To see if between them they might be able to help you in some way, no doubt.
Oh, no. Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you'd made sure of what Mr. Asogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently, if you had.
Miss Pavlova?
I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. Now it's time for your summary execution. Nihilus, earlier I tried to correct myself but got the H before the R and didn't notice. Mostly I'm still saying Naruto a lot. Yeah. It's because I was learning how to pronounce Renosuke. So my brain just keeps deleting the U. But then I overcompensated. But unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did. And that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really, I'm so sorry. What have I done? He just told you killed a guy. Nihilus, it doesn't help that his first and last name use completely different rules for the U. Yeah, I mean, in a lot of places here have an O-U-G-H syllable that keeps getting pronounced in like 5 different ways, so that's fair enough. And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Beria was finally laid to rest.
January, 7:14 p.m. SS Beria First Class Cabin Passageway.
What happened to Miss Pavlova now, then? Once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact she ran away from Russia when the Russians tried to repatriate her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Mr. Sholmes can do that. So she won't be going back to Russia then? No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she'll be able to. She ran away, so now she's in exile for life. Is that how Russia works? I see.
I'm sorry.
Seaman Stroganoff?
I wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you, about how you lost a good friend. I will go with Nina. I'll give myself to British police.
That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Kazuma's death feels like such a waste, but Well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you?
Duh.
Well, I'm afraid you'll need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes, I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. Notice the last name is spelled how it sounds, but the first has like one full of fewer syllables than how it looks. Exactly. So, you should get back to your cabin now. It looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it's even begun, then. To think that only days ago, Kazuma and I were laughing together about how we'd tear up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? No, let's actually guess the first has as many syllables as it looks, just not why they look like there are. Romanization is a strange thing. Zazasu-san? Nuredo-san, I didn't know you'd returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Hosonaga just told me I should pack, you know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over, just like that. Suzasu-san? He had such grand ideas for this visit to Great Britain. So many dreams. And now they've been cruelly taken away. Just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth. That it was just an accident. Just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruto-san. Naruhodo-san, it's just too much. Yes, I know. I wish there was something I could say. Oh wait, I wish there was something I could say. Inspector, my duty was to see Asogi-san safely to Great Britain, but I failed. And I caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I've let everyone down. And I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again now at least. Huh? Surprise, Mr. Hunurodo. What is the meaning of this? Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head, I think I should always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry. So I decided to restore them, for old time's sake, shall we say. You are a stowaway after all. He thinks this is funny. I mean, I kind of think it was funny as well. Mr. Sholmes? We do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you, from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. And though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences. The loss of your companion is truly heartrending. I hope that you'll be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honour. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was the stowaway. The terms of this study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be 1 lawyer and 1 assistant. Was to be? I mean, you've still got 1 lawyer and 1 assistant, haven't you? In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid the study tour can no longer go ahead. Oh no, I don't care for me, but... Poor Sasaso-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is 1 lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourself another suitable lawyer. Yes. Miss Sasaso? Yes? Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? Eh? But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry. In that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there is still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study, to learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruhodo? That's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anyone could learn all of that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector, every single day. Will you let me try? And if by the time we reach Great Britain I haven't learnt enough to be recognised as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. But why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Kazuma. He said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit too. I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Mrs. Asso? I think it's a wonderful idea. Does she? Thank you. So, what does our bespectacled inspector friend say? Are you serious? 1 lawyer and 1 assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, it's madness. Yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating? Duty and rules are the dull routines of exercise that we all abhor. Give us interest. Give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character. No? And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes. From the early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, and despite the accusation of guilt, gee, I wonder whose fault that was. This man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector? After all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything to make up for my shortcomings here. Thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think.
I need to discuss what to do next and how best to make my report. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Neruhodo?
Yes, I'm going to try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer?
I'd be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant after all.
Thank you.
Okay, I hope the chapter's finishing soon because my voice is about to go. And Mr. Neruhodo? I'd like you to take charge of this.
What? Me? Are you sure?
I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. In the immortal words of Dante from Devil May Cry.
A sword.
Its name is Kuruma. It's a great sword that's been in the Asogi clan for generations.
Very well, I accept. I'll treasure it always. So then, Mr. Sasso, it seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet.
Okay, that sort of blop in the soundtrack keeps making me think my phone's going. It'll be an honor, Mr. Neruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. We shall fill every spare moment with study.
Yes, that's exactly what I need.
But before we begin... Thanks for the quote, Nerlis. I have an earnest favour to ask of you too.
Goodness, what is it?
Please throw me to the ground. 3 times.
What?
I should never have doubted you. You're Kazuma-sama's close friend. Of course you'd never have done anything to him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me. And no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behaviour.
No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away, and the cabin door was locked from the inside.
No, I wouldn't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you. And not just once, but 5 times.
That number just keeps creeping up, doesn't it?
Please, you must. Just take hold of me and throw me. Do it. Don't even think about it.
No, I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Mr. Naruto. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes.
I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. When did you see that? I presume that to be a form of Japanese wrestling.
Oh, well, in a way. It's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jiu-jitsu technique. Apparently it's called the Susato takedown. It leaves your head swimming, believe me. Nerlis, but I don't have martial arts training. Fine, we'll double major you in law and jiu-jitsu. Oh yeah, so fun fact, Sherlock Holmes was canonically an expert at Baccarati, which was an actual martial art developed by an Englishman who very immodestly visited Japan and created a portmanteau of his name and karate, and was based around using a walking stick to defend yourself.
How beguiling. I'm a practitioner of the combatant arts myself. I'm a somewhat accomplished boxer.
There he goes, dancing around again.
I wonder if you'd be so kind to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw.
Yes, I'd be honoured.
Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam.
Oh, of course. Okay, so Sherlock Holmes is literally just in a Yakuza game. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo?
Sorry?
Yep. As you can see, you throw from the abdomen.
Oh yes, arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Susato takedown, is it?
Actually, no. That was a Susato squash. Exactly, Enfys. Get yoked, fam.
Spin, 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 spin to win. In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. Kuruma? That's right, it's a prized sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asugi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Yorinosuke. I can't be parted from my katana. Kuruma guides me. I truly believe that. Sword first, I guess. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two. Not that you would need to do much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain, and I'll sacrifice anything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me. Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you. I knew you wouldn't let me down. That important thing he had to do. I still don't know what that was. Well, I guess he's not coming back as a ghost then. I'm going to see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. Okay, is that the end of the chapter? Yep, that's the end of the chapter. Guess that means I'm 2/3 of the way through. Oh, achievement unlocked, crash court candidate. Okay, we'll save. And I guess we'll return to this on Monday. How do I exit? There we go. Alrighty. I will find someone to read then. So tomorrow, well, I think it's going to be Guild of Archon's Adventures. Probably have to, I mean, I think it was double booked with a multi-way chess game, but we'll see how that goes. Friday, though, will definitely be on this very, well, God of Archon's Adventure will be on Nick's channel, and I figure we'll just raid him now because he's streaming something called Reality Break. And on this very channel, I'll be streaming Session 0 of a Girl by Moonlight campaign. We're going to be using the Maze of Dreams playset. So Girl by Moonlight is basically a magical girl themed spin-off of Blades in the Dark. And Maze of Dreams basically makes it sort of like a mystery theme thing. So think along the lines of like Death Note or Persona. And we're basically going to be doing the Session 0. So obviously we'll establish the ground rules, go over what we want in the campaign, do some brainstorming, and there's also sort of basically some input the characters can have in the setting via the playbook. So, and then obviously everyone will be rolling their characters. It should be very fun. Not sure how long it will last, but probably a few hours at least. And aside from that, yeah, I'll be back on Monday with Maurice Turney and hopefully a Tiefling cosplay. So yeah. With that, we're going to raid in, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow on Nick's channel or wherever. And we're going to raid in 3, 2, 1, let's go. Oh, and if you're watching YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe. You're still my favourites.